Good morning and welcome to the Breakfast Rundown with me, Zulfick Farzan. Now let's start off with the stories breaking headlines here at home today. Now the Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Aviation, in collaboration with the Ministry of Transport and Highways, has announced the launch of a comprehensive vehicle inspection program aimed at improving road safety across Sri Lanka. Now Deputy Minister Ruan Kodituakku stated that mechanical defects in vehicles are a significant contributing factor to road accidents in Sri Lanka. In response, the government plans to implement district-level inspections to assess the roadworthiness of vehicles currently in operation. Now, according to official data, Sri Lanka has approximately 8 million registered vehicles. Of these, 4 million are motorcycles, while 1.3 million are three-wheelers. The remaining vehicles include cars, vans, buses and trucks. To support the new initiative, the government intends to recruit 20 additional motor vehicle inspectors. Deputy Minister Kodituakku emphasized that the current number of inspectors is insufficient to carry out inspections on a nationwide scale. Now moving on, the Ministry of Education will officially launch the Clean Sri Lanka Schools Day initiative today, aiming to foster environmentally friendly and disciplined school environments across Sri Lanka. Deputy Minister of Education Dr. Madhura Senaviratne announced that the program will be implemented in all schools, pirivenas, that's monastic schools, and other education institutions island-wide. Now this initiative is designed to encourage students to actively participate in cleaning their school surroundings and to cultivate a sense of environmental responsibility. Now, speaking of having clean surroundings, the National Dengue Control Unit has revealed that 144,250 premises across Sri Lanka were inspected during the recently concluded National Mosquito Eradication Week held last week as part of a nationwide campaign to combat the spread of dengue. Now, Dr. Prashila Samaravira said that 35,495 locations were identified as potential mosquito breeding grounds. Among these, 4,275 premises were confirmed to contain mosquito larvae. The campaign targeted a range of locations, including schools, government institutions, factories, religious sites, and households. Notably, 400 school premises were inspected, with 226 found to have conditions conducive to mosquito breeding. Additionally, 131,789 homes were checked and 31,967 were flagged as potential breeding sites. Government institutions were also part of this inspection drive, with 955 facilities examined and 292 identified as high-risk areas. As part of the enforcement measures, 3,812 red notices were issued and 982 legal actions were taken against those failing to maintain hygienic environments. Dr. Samaravira emphasized the importance of sustained community engagement and vigilance, especially given the alarming statistics. Here are the numbers. 30,222 dengue cases have been reported across Sri Lanka in the country so far, with 16 confirmed deaths. Now, the highest number of cases were recorded in the western, Sabaragamuwa, southern and eastern provinces. Now, let's move on to something making headlines. A high-level discussion on the digitization of Sri Lanka customs was held at the President's office, with President Anura Kumara Dissanayaka directing officials to prioritize swift and fair solutions to ongoing issues related to the e-commerce, with a strong focus on consumer interests. The discussion focused extensively on identifying solutions to challenges arising from the complexity of customs procedures. Attention was also drawn to the technological solutions implemented thus far as part of the department's institutional digitization process and obstacles encountered in that effort, particularly in the context of achieving the government's goal of establishing a digital economy by 2030. According to the President's Media Division, the President instructed officials to expedite the process of amending existing legislations, identifying it as a key challenge that must be addressed without delay. A review was conducted of the ongoing ASY-CUDA system and its existing shortcomings, the National Single Window Service, and key challenges such as recording of import and exports, the granting of tax exemptions, and the proper identification of revenue. The discussion focused on digitalization as a means to address these issues and assess the progress of measures already implemented in the country. Now, something that took place last evening. A large group of medical students from the Medical Faculty Student Action Committee staged a protest yesterday near Lipton Circus, voicing strong opposition to the privatization of education in Sri Lanka. The demonstration was held under the theme "Court Defeat the Conspiracy to Commercialize Medical Degrees and Destroy Free Education and Healthcare," unquote. Protesters expressed concern over recent government decisions that they claim promote private medical education at the expense of public institutions. Protesters also criticized the Kotalaula Defence University for what they described as the commercialization of medical degrees and the recruitment of civilian students under legal frameworks. Following the protest near Lipton Circus, students attempted to march towards the presidential secretariat but were blocked by police. Tensions rose briefly as verbal exchanges occurred between students and law enforcement. Despite the obstruction, protesters regrouped and continued their demonstration into the evening. Now, moving on to another interesting story with regard to law enforcement. A group of individuals claiming to be from the Walana Anti-Vice Strike Force was arrested after forcibly entering the residence of a businessman in the Galnava area. According to police reports, the suspects arrived in a white van and were dressed in uniforms resembling those worn by Sri Lanka Police and the Police Special Task Force. They allegedly entered the house under the pretense of conducting a raid based on information about illegal narcotics activity. However, authorities later confirmed that the group had no official affiliation with law enforcement. The suspects were taken into custody and presented before the Kakirava Magistrates Court. They have been remanded until the 18th of this month, pending further investigation. Among those arrested is a woman, and police suspect the group may have entered the residence searching for hidden treasures under the guise of a narcotics investigation. Now, something that shocked Colombo last night. A shooting incident was reported at around 8 p.m. yesterday night on the Leslie Ranagala Mauta in Borella. According to the police spokesperson, ASPFU Woodler, two unidentified individuals arrived on a motorcycle and opened fire before fleeing the scene. No injuries were reported from the incident. Police said that the revolver was used in the attack and believe that the shooting may be the result of a dispute between criminal gangs. Now, let's move on to some decisions taken by the Sri Lankan Cabinet. The Cabinet of Ministers has approved a proposal to formally sign an agreement between Sri Lanka and the Maldives to establish mutual legal cooperation in criminal matters. The initiative, presented by the Minister of Justice, aims to strengthen cross-border collaboration in criminal investigations and prosecutions. Although Cabinet approval was initially granted on September 22, 2022, an agreement had not been signed due to procedural delays. However, with the Maldivian government now expressing its full consent and the Attorney General's clearance obtained, the path is clear for the formalization of this bilateral legal framework. Here's another Cabinet decision that was reached. The Cabinet of Ministers has approved a proposal to sign a Memorandum of Understanding between the Royal Canadian Mounted Police and the Sri Lanka Police. The agreement is aimed to enhance collaboration in the fight against international organized crime. The MOU will facilitate exchange of intelligence, technical assistance, and joint operational support between the two agencies. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism has given its full concurrence for the proposed agreement, which was presented by the Minister of Public Security and Parliamentary Affairs. Now, here's another interesting story. The Cabinet of Ministers has approved a proposal to authorize the Sri Lankan Navy to independently carry out maritime security operations in key regional ports under the supervision of the Ministry of Defence. The proposal was presented by the President in his capacity as Minister of Defence. Now, this decision follows the International Maritime Organizations, that's IMO, removal of the Red Sea, Gulf of Aden and Somali Sea from its designated high-risk zone list as of January 1st, 2023. Despite this reclassification, commercial vessels continue to employ armed maritime guards or sea marshals from various private security companies when navigating these waters, citing lingering security concerns. Now, ports in Galle and Colombo have served as primary hubs for the embarkation and disembarkation of these sea marshals, with Hambantota and Trincomalee occasionally facilitating the service. Given the strategic importance of these activities and the need to safeguard Sri Lanka's national interests as well, the Sri Lanka Navy has been entrusted with full operational responsibility. The government cited the Navy's existing extensive experience and expertise in maritime security as the rationale for this move. Now, the new directive empowers the Sri Lanka Navy to manage these operations directly. Now, if you missed last night's match between Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, I've got all the details and the action. In a thrilling encounter at the Pallekele International Cricket Stadium, Sri Lanka clinched a dominant victory over Bangladesh by 99 runs thanks to a stellar century from Kusal Mendis and a disciplined bowling Sri Lankan attack. Now, batting first, Sri Lanka faced early pressure as their top order crumbled, losing 3 wickets inside 100 runs. However, the innings was revived by a resilient 4th wicket partnership between Charit Asalanka and Kusal Mendis, who added 124 runs to stabilize the Sri Lankan innings. Asalanka played a composed knock, scoring 58 runs with 9 boundaries, while Mendis stole the spotlight with his 6th ODI century. His masterclass innings of 124 runs came off a flurry of strokes, including 18 boundaries, showcasing his form and finesse. Sri Lanka posted a competitive total of 285 for the loss of 7 wickets in their allotted 50 overs. In response, Bangladesh faltered under pressure, managing only 186 runs before being bowled out. The Sri Lankan pace duo of Dushmantha Chameera and Asita Fernando shared the spoils, claiming 3 wickets apiece and dismantling the Bangladeshi batting lineup. And with that, we bring an end to this morning's edition of the Breakfast Rundown. Until I see you again on Friday morning, take care and stay safe.